Your daughter is in high school. I get it. She wants to breed. She's got her mind all mashed up thinking about dick. You gonna bitch about a fucking dress code that says your daughter can't go to school half fucking naked? You wanna claim that it's sexist that your daughter can't go to school half fucking naked? Your daughter's not a fucking whore! Why the fuck is she dressing like a whore, going to high school, and then bitching that she's getting treated like a fucking whore? If you dress like a cop, people are probably gonna come up and ask you questions that they would ask a goddamn cop. If you dress like a $2 fucking hooker, people are probably gonna ask you questions as if you're a $2 fucking hooker. You don't have a label on your fucking forehead that says, I'm a grown-ass adult or I'm a child. And then there's the fact that you think that because you're in high school, that all of a sudden you're a goddamn adult. You get this shit pounded into your head in junior high school that you are more mature than boys. No, you're not. Mentally, you will never be more advanced than men. It is not possible with your education. You want to dress in a way that is distracting to the other students. You think that this is what high school is for. It's for you to dress like a $2 hooker and throw yourself at men. Now, how many of y'all, and we could probably ask Nikki about this, because she has some personal experience. When you're an underage girl and you're out trolling for dick, what dick are you trolling for? A lot of y'all, you want a pedophile. That's literally what you go for. You want a 30-year-old man because they're so much more mature. And you've been told that you're more mature. You're more mature mentally. No, you will never advance past junior high school mentally. Most of the women in this country will never advance past the junior high mentality. Then we want to throw it all on men. Oh, this is a sexist dress code. Men ain't allowed to do that neither. Males ain't allowed to go to school half fucking naked either. Now what the hell kind of a parent complains that the school don't want their daughter dressed like a fucking $2 hooker? What the fuck kind of parent complains about that? What kind of a fucking parent gives more of a shit about your see-through yellow fucking tube top than the education you're supposed to be getting? And then you want to say, oh, well, it's not their fault. These boys should pay better attention to their fucking schoolwork. How the fuck is that going to happen when you got little $2 hookers running around shaking their parts the whole goddamn day, starting fucking drama and talking about how mature they are? No, you are a fucking hoe. And you dressed your daughter like a hoe, and then you sent your daughter to school looking like a hoe, and then you want to be pissed off that she got treated like a fucking hoe. Oh. Now, I would go into the ethnic hairstyles. It's been one of the recent bitches, too. We got this complaint about, of course, well, ethnic hairstyles, like a weave. Well, if you want to wear a weave, that's fine. I can understand wholeheartedly. I can understand completely how targeting people for having a weave is a racial thing. I don't know very many women who are white who have a weave. I know a lot of black women who have weaves. So if you're targeting someone who's got a weave, yes, that's an ethnic hairstyle or considered ethnic. But also, these are not things that are boys' fault. These aren't things that boys are doing. I'm going to tell you, I was in high school. I know how distracted women get when it's somebody who's popular and good looking and muscled and ripped. I know all about it. All right? The way that your daughters get treated when they dress like a fucking sheep hooker, well, that's how Josh Martindale gets treated. Women walk up to him because he's good looking and they volunteer sex. Yeah. Oh my God, men this and men that. Men are such pervs. Why can't men just control their fucking pants? Why can't they just control what's in their pants? We do. We fucking do. There are literally billions of men on the planet. Billions. Most of us see your daughter dressed like a $2 fucking hooker and we walk the other goddamn way. You know why? Because we know that little fucking sprite, and I don't mean homosexual, I mean pint-sized individual. She's out there trolling for old man dick. If you go to school and you're wearing a shirt that's got a set of tits printed on it, yeah, you're probably going to be asked to leave the school and go home and fucking change your goddamn clothes. But realistically, you should be expelled. You got sex ed class. All right? That should be good enough. You don't have to try to make every fucking class into sex ed. You want to be pissed off because you dress specifically to get stared at like you're a $2 hooker, and then you want to complain about the ones that aren't good looking that are staring at you like you're a $2 hooker. The good looking ones are staring at you like you're a hooker too. Do you complain about them? Oh, you don't. What the fuck are underage girls doing? Going to school, trolling for dick, intentionally being a distraction. There's a big difference between, well, of course, this narrative that we get sold by these women, which is, oh, these men are distracted anyway just because they have penises. Men are just naturally that way. Oh, women aren't competitive. It's got nothing to do with competition. Oh, I do this for me. It makes me feel better. Really, it makes you feel better to dress like a fucking whore. How? Jesus fucking Christ. Now I'm always in this fucking parking lot. I'm not putting up with this bullshit. Molly needs to stay the fuck away from me. And of course, I do need to turn in Tom. At this point, it's pretty obvious that between, well, doing something about the situation and aiding and abetting this woman in her fucking plight to destroy people's lives, he has no fucking conscience, no morality, and he's a fucking coward to boot. You know, I can respect a veteran, but not a coward. A coward will watch everybody around them die. That's what cowards do. A coward will get their coworkers killed. They'll get their friends killed. They'll get their families killed. because they're fucking cowards. Now, we have taught women like her that they're not to be held responsible for a goddamn thing. They're allowed to destroy innocent people's lives because they are women. They're taught in junior high school that they're more mature, and all of a sudden, here's what we're dealing with. I am going to let Tom know that I'm going to contact the cops about him as well. I let him know last night that he had a choice. If you are going to assist that woman with getting away with the crimes that she's already committed, yes, you are aiding and abetting her. Which means that you can be prosecuted. I don't give a fuck if you're 80 goddamn years old. I don't care if you are a Vietnam vet. You do not get to take advantage of an at-risk adult. You do not get to take advantage of people out here without me saying it, so, you know? Same thing with the schools. Your daughter wants to show up dressed like a $2 fucking hooker. Yes, she's gonna get fucking stared at, and yes, it is her fault. If she dressed like a fucking clown and went to school and people asked for jokes, that's kind of to be fucking expected, don't you think? Maybe you should teach your daughter that she's not a fucking hooker, and she doesn't need to dress like a fucking hooker to go get a fucking education. There's a young woman I went to school with named Jody. Now, I'm going to tell you, there were a few women who dressed the way that Jody did, but Jody caught the brunt of the hell for it. Do you know why? Well, the same reason the boys tend to actually try to follow the rules a little bit better. When you got a 300-pound high school student who's 5'9", he's 300 pounds. If he puts on a tank top, it's not sightly, it's gross. You know it's gross. You get grossed out by it, and then you talk shit behind his back because it's gross, but you don't want to tell him to his face. Nope, it's not until he's got a fucking rough patch in life that you want to come up on him with your friends and make fun of him for being a fucking massive goddamn behemoth. Well, here's the thing. No, Jody wasn't 300 fucking pounds. You see that if Josh Martindale wears one of them tank tops, women stare at him like he is, well, like he's a goddamn dildo, like he's a battery-operated boyfriend. They drool over him. Why? Because Josh Martindale is a good-looking feller. Good physique. Chiseled face. He was an attractive feller. Now, Brian Reinwald, on the other hand, Brian Reinwald was not treated that way if he dressed the way that Josh Martindale did. And that's the thing about Jody. You know, there were girls in school who had good figures that could wear that stuff. But when Jody came to school wearing a fucking mini skirt and a tube top, yes, that did not go over well. She went home fucking crying. Why did she go home crying? Because not just the boys, but also the girls were extremely mean to her, because not only did she dress like a fucking cheap hooker, she's got way too much extra weight for the clothes she was wearing. So, of course, body shaming, right? Body shaming is not okay. The fuck it ain't. You body shame men every fucking day over one part of their fucking anatomy. You blame everything in your fucking life on that one piece of a male's anatomy. Meanwhile, you are dressing like a hooker, acting like a hooker, and throwing yourself at people like a fucking hooker. Jody thought that if she dressed like a cheap whore, like some of the other girls in school, maybe she would get that attention. No, the reality of it is, you are going to get body shamed. Whether you're fat, whether you're skinny, whether you're tall, whether you're short, you're going to get body shamed. If you are going to accentuate it by going, all right, I've got 40 square yards of canvas here. I'm going to cover half of one of those yards. Yeah, no. Meanwhile, it's a lot more yards of canvas. It is. There aren't 40 yards of canvas on your body, obviously. You've got about 2.5 square yards worth of skin. That's a pretty decent quantity, though. Now, how much of that fucking skin needs to be shown in order for you to get an education? With Jody, with everything that was hanging over her clothes, you couldn't see most of her clothes. No, people are not going to drool over her with her parts hanging over her parts. Those of you who bitch that your wife has an extra chin or your husband has an extra chin, well, you can have chins that go all the way down to your belly. And Jody did. And she wasn't a behemoth. She wasn't huge like Brian Reinwald, but she was a bigger woman. And then, of course, she got mad because perverts were being mean to her. That's what she called us. That's right, I was one of the people being mean to her. Were the women who were mean to her as well also perverts? By the way, why was I mean to her? Was I mean to her because she dressed like a cheap whore? No. Not even close. She thought that because she was dressed like a $2 hooker, that she was going to get the same treatment that other men get, or that other women get when they dress like a $2 hooker. She thought, oh, I dress like a $2 hooker if I'm mean to somebody. So she picked me to be mean to. That didn't last very long. She decided to be mean to me in Mr. Fong's music class. Very stupid of you, Jody. Why do we have school dress codes? Because your kids are supposed to be there to get an education. Your 14, 15, 16-year-old daughter, yeah, she's not there to fucking sell sex. She's not there to sell her fucking vagina for profit. She is supposed to be there to get an education. If the only clothes that you own are hooker clothes, what the fuck kind of a future are you thinking about having? Now, there's a lot of stuff that I am all for as far as the abolishment of school dress codes. I think that men and women should be allowed to have whatever color hair they fucking want. If I want to dye my hair hot fucking pink, I should be allowed. Boys in Chapel High School, this is sexist, by the way. Boys in Chapel High School, girls were allowed to dye their hair. If a boy dyed his hair pink, they wouldn't let him back in school. Ask me how I know. The police ignore the homeless and the disabled. That's one of the things about Monica needing to speak up. If she's going to advocate, she needs to actually advocate. It's an actual job. There's an actual description to what a fucking advocate is supposed to do. But we've got people advertising and advocating for what? For your underage hooker to go to school and be a fucking hooker at school. It's not about the dress code, it's about the fucking advertisement. Your daughter is advertising sex. She should not be there to advertise sex. Josh Martindale knew that him dressing in a fucking wife beater in high school was distracting to the other students, mostly the female students. So you know what? Josh Martindale did not wear a fucking wife beater at school. Unlike what we teach women, Josh Martindale recognized that women in class were not paying attention in school, and they were distracting him by wanting to talk to him in the middle of fucking class. You want to fight for Josh Martindale's fucking attention because you want his dick. But then you're taught that you can't be honest about wanting his dick because that would make you a hoe. No, dressing like a hoe and throwing yourself at him like a $2 fucking hooker is what makes you a fucking hoe. People are calling you a hoe and treating you like a hoe because you dressing like a hoe and acting like a goddamn hoe. Jesus fucking Christ. And you'll advocate because you think that little girls should be running around high schools pumping up everybody's fucking adrenaline and hormones. And then you want to pretend this is a man-only trait. Women never get horny. Especially not high school girls. Not ever. Hell no. We had fucking certified whores in my high school. Leslie Snell and her twin sister Lynn were known as two of the biggest whores in school. I mean, Lynn Paul. Holy fucking Christ. She went to a party with about 60 people there and sucked Josh Martindale's dick in front of everybody at the fucking party. Welcome to high school, folks. Here's the thing, is that no matter how much I fucking explain this shit to you, you're still gonna be racist fucking pieces of shit who take your shit out on the fucking homeless. When somebody comes to you about fucking abuse, you know what, we need to focus on actual abuse. Like your daughter going to school dressed like a $2 fucking hooker, and then being a fucking cunt to any guy that she doesn't deem attractive, treating them like they're horrible people for having eyeballs. Your daughter dresses like a fucking whore. You think that's appropriate for school? Huh? How about if them boys walk around in school with just a fucking jockstrap? Is that appropriate? And then you say that we shouldn't objectionalize or sexualize your breasts. Meanwhile, you objectionalize your breasts. You accentuate your breasts specifically so that people will look at your breasts because you want to get some fucking dick. No, you're not fucking more mature. Also, you want to go after a 30-year-old because he's more mature than the boys in your class? The boys in your class are not pedophiles. You fucking wretch. Then there's the boys did it. It's boys' fault. Really? It's boys' fault that you dress like a $2 hooker? And then you want to pretend because people obviously make mention to you that you're dressed like a fucking hooker. You want to pretend like they're bad people or perverts because they pointed out what you did. You dressed like a whore and went to high school dressed like a whore. Then you want to pretend that these people making comments must be perverts and rapists. Meanwhile, Jody survived the whole fucking day dressed like a fucking whore. Not one person fucking raped her. How many boys are in that school at that point in time? And how many of them tried to rape Jody? Those boys didn't do anything inappropriate. And those girls who told her that she had her fucking flab was hanging over her ass. That's what they was telling her. That's right, the girls in class. So, is it just the boys that you target? Yes. Is it just the boys who are taking part? No. You think that you should be allowed to do whatever the fuck you want without consequences. You believe that you should be allowed to be a distraction. Yes, advertising sex is a distraction in high school. That is exactly what you're doing when you are dressing like a $2 fucking hooker. Josh Martindale wore wife beaters because he wanted to get looked at. He liked the attention. That is why he dressed like that. He didn't do it for him. Sure, it made him feel better to be stared at like he's a goddamn cheap-ass hooker. But he didn't do it at school. It did make him feel better to get that attention. It does make people feel better when they feel wanted. But then, of course, Jody walking into Mr. Fong's class and automatically starting shit with me because I looked up and I see this bright yellow fucking tank top that's this fucking tall. Or sorry, bright yellow fucking tube top that is this tall. She's got all of her stuff fucking flabbing out. And you know what drew me attention to her walking through the door into class? Everybody else stopping what they were doing to look up at her. Oh, everybody's looking at something. Oh, it's Jody. Oh, Jody's going off on me now. Fucking pleasant. Jesus fucking goddamn Christ. And then your excuse. It don't matter what any of your fucking excuses are. You're fucking pieces of shit. Everybody in fucking Chapel, Nebraska. That town needs to burn to the fucking ground. Your daughter changing the color of her hair. Yes, that will be distracting in school. Your son getting a different color hairdo is going to do the same thing. That is a distraction. It's not a sexual thing. It's just a change in hair color. But it's different from usual and it draws your attention. See, that's the thing about, of course, the Bollinger girls. They wanted to accentuate their hair. They also wanted to paint their faces on and dress like fucking cheap hookers. Maddie Boa didn't go running around dressed like a cheap hooker. She was trying to play boy. Pretend like a boy. You guys have done everything that you can to make sure that my predators get away with their crimes. And then you want to pretend because penis, I must be to blame. No. Stop dressing your daughter like a fucking hooker. If she's going to dress like a fucking hooker, homeschool. I don't want my boys learning how to be fucking sexist assholes. I don't want them learning any of that fucking nutty shit. What I want them to do when they're in school is to fucking learn. To learn the curriculum. Your daughters need to stop dressing like whores and then complaining they're treated like whores. You need to stop sending your daughters to school to be a distraction and then complain that people say something about your daughter being a fucking distraction. First of all, Destiny Vote needs to put some fucking panties on. That's right. Destiny Vote is one of the girls I went to high school with. She's also one of the people who worked for Scott DaCosta before Leslie Snell. Now this guy telling me I gotta call the Department of Justice, that officer yesterday. I should probably get to recording that too, shouldn't I? Yeah. Let me tell you about Destiny. So she's in class with my older brother. She's wearing a mini skirt. This is in Mr. E's class. That's Mr. Einram. Now the desks in his class, they're not all pointing forward. Half the class faces the other half of the class. And here's Destiny Vote in a miniskirt, no panties, and her bush showing. So, of course, my older brother made a comment. Why? Because Destiny Vote was wearing a miniskirt, no panties, sitting across from him with her legs wide open. Because of shit like that, yeah, I am totally down with abolishing miniskirts. No, miniskirts don't belong in fucking school. Miniskirts denote one thing and one thing only, and that is sex. That is very specifically the intent and purpose of putting on a miniskirt. Easy access. You are trying to promote in someone else's mind that it will be easy access to your vagina. There is a whole psychology to the way that you fucking dress. There's also a whole psychology to you fucking lying to yourself and others about what a hoe you are. Oh, I do this for me. No, the fuck you don't. You do it to get fucking looked at. And then you bitch when it's not one of the good looking ones that is looking at you. And then you throw yourself at him like a $2 fucking hooker if it's somebody like Josh Martindale. Lynn Paul sucking him off at a party in high school. Yes, that is what comes with your daughters dressing like cheap fucking whores. They get devalued as if they are cheap fucking whores. They get treated like they are cheap fucking whores. And they act like cheap fucking whores. Christ. Maybe instead of blaming everything on men, you stop being a whore. Alright, there's your fucking solution, stupid. If a man's dressing like a whore, I'll mention to him that he's dressing like a whore too.